Submissive smile. I see. It's all about the smile. So this is a pretty big spellcraft somewhere. It's no doubt going to come out further. It's like Transman Painter too, for that matter. But look at this here. So back in the news, this could be the relaunch of Terence Trent, because G was big for a second, wasn't he? Just as big as Prince and Michael Jackson, and just like them, just for a second. And he was gone, but maybe he's back as Maitreya. What a load of rubbish. Now, I had a comment saying that Larry Birkhead may be Keith Urban. Well, I've just been checking it out, no way. But very interesting, the hair designs. They seem to go to the same hairdresser, that's for sure. And certainly, what you've got to think of, folks, is these people, all with these chins that they put in, the crimson chin, it gives them a sort of likeness. They've all got the same chin. And they're certainly coming from very distinct genetic circles, you might say, just like horses. So you go to the races and up and you see a horse that looks like another horse and you look into it, oh look, it's the descendant of the same, they've got the same, bloodlines in their genetic code or whatever you want to call it. Well, that's the same as sort of Keith Urban to this guy. Keith Urban actually came from Australia and he's known here, like, being a local performer. He comes from the area where Steve Irwin comes from. And I was only talking to a friend the other day who had met Steve Irwin a few times because he was challenging that he couldn't be a tranny. But I said, mate, you'd be surprised. And he had to admit, well, he hadn't really investigated it that well, and it's years ago when Steve Irwin was a surfer guy in the local area here in southeast Queensland. So people knew him. Now, Irvin also used to play hotels and whatever as a younger feminine, as it were. Now, Birkhead would have a distinct history. But having said that, I've got to thank these people for showing me this guy, because I should have done Anna Nicole Smith before. And you've only got to look at the pair of them here, and really this shows you the whole system. That chin on the right there has been chiseled down to make it a point. And this one here has had the chin man, the fake chin implanted and the skin stretched down, and that's why you get this smooth look, which we've seen, the Dudley Do-Right, Roger Ramjet look, call it what you will, the crimson chin. And you can see here, he's got the Jay Leno crimson chin, and here's another very famous tranny, as we know, who's had work done on the chin to do that, like that, Pamela Anderson, the fake tits. I ain't got to say any more. But every one of these pictures here, look at the lips of Larry Birkhead here. Look at the lips of him there, that should tell you. The Brad Pitt look. And I must admit, some of these here do look a lot like Keith Urban just because of the hair. Keith Urban's a very short guy, but this guy mightn't be that tall. I must admit, that shot there in the blue suit does look a lot like Keith Urban, but it's clearly not Keith Urban. It's just a very similar looking gentleman. He's very close to the Urban look. Kentucky in pink, pretty in pink, with this little tranny boy son. Birkhead. Very strange name indeed. This Birkhead here is a younger Birkhead. Oh no, this is something else here, I don't know. So involved, all these people. Well, here's the kiss. It's definitely the hair that would make you think that. Very like him indeed, I must admit, but it isn't him. Let's have a look at Keith. Yes, you see, he was on Australian television as early as 1983. So, the thing of people flying backwards and forwards. to do 2 rolls. I'm sure there's an age difference somewhat. I haven't looked at it all, but I mean, clearly, look at this photo here. You can see as it's aged now. It looks quite a bit different to that other guy. There's a stage where they look closer. Very, very strange man indeed. As he's wrapped up with the chin man. So, you know, he's had the chin. Look, he's got the crimson chin. The way it sticks out there. So just think Roger Moore. And look at this for a change, you know what I mean? No prizes there. Look, here's where it's had the Adam's apple shave. And this one too has been on Australian television from the age of 15. It's in a big mini-series, Vietnam Hoax. Vietnam War. She's in a family and it's all about it. Her father's a politician for the bullshit. It was a big rated thing in its day. But yeah, let's go back to this other guy. Very close as you can see. You know, I can see why the people would say that, but different. Just the same. There's things that are different here. I'd have to look at the age difference anyway. But yeah, too busy a role. I kept saying this to people. You got to think that these people are celebrities. They get around, look, Kentucky Derbies and things. Just too many roles to do. This one's a real daddy mum, I can see idea here. There it is here earlier. So quite a bit different looking at this stage. Definitely had the crimson chin though. Definitely had the crimson chin. And look at the longer satin and ring finger here on this one. Clearly is a tranny. So different to urban here too, eh? You know, this is a point where they seem to come together here. This one here looks a bit more urban. Oh, the red hair theme, never far away, eh? So I tell you, I reckon they've all got red hair and they dye it different colours. See, this is still a redhead, but it's lightly dyed. Probably all as red as this nearly. Every one of them. So those roots look a bit red to me, even on Anderson. And they even have a system where they try and blacken roots and do all sorts of things, anything to throw that on. I'm not totally sure on that, but it just seems funny that every time you look at a picture of them, one of them's got the full red hair, and look at this in the curls. And again, it's already had its chin job. The Great Iceberg Hoax. Yes, doing a bit more research on icebergs, I've come up with the idea. Definitely a big hoax. Pretty certain of it. Now, I made a video already just showing this news story that was around here, icebergs hoax, and this is up on the Dougal Surfer channel, so you can go and watch it there. It's one with a kangaroo on it. There's also a meme going around, Australia doesn't exist. And there was a Russian guy with a video up, Australia doesn't exist. I said, well mate, I live there, and he came to the channel and he said, oh, you've got nothing from Australia there. And I thought, yes I have. I'll have to send him some stuff. It's a few years since I've put too much of that stuff up, but there's ones of kangaroos running around and beaches and surfing, etc. Some of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, you know. Incredible things, but that's sort of a thing I'll make a video about because that's somewhat to discredit the work we're doing here, of course. And people say, oh yes, but I heard on the net, they said Australia's not here. You know, everyone laughs. But this here is fraud on fraud. Now this is supposed to be towing this. See that rope there? Look, it goes around here and it's towing this thing. Now they tell us they're all beneath the sea, so they'd have a lot of drag there for this little boat to tow it. Because it's not towing this. Have a look how CGI this is. Like this one, look at this. If you're not convinced on that one, look how bad this one here is. That really is just painted on there, isn't it? Clearly, look at the lines here. The way it is. Terrible. And again, look, it's bringing the rope around to harness it. And then we've got this one here. Well, of course, it's just full CGI, sort of mixing a real-looking CGI with a fake-looking CGI, and then people think, well, that's real, you see. They're on the same little thing here, you see. Putting ideas in your head. No, this is towing this. It's making waves here at the front of it. Yeah, sure. How much weight would be in that if that was real, relative to the size of the boat here? So you can see this towing icebergs is it's another fraud on the fraud. Terrible to even try and tell us this. There's had a 21 on there. It's a funny looking symbol on there. Now look at this cartoon we've got here. Look at this cartoon. Looks like the Boulevard of Broken Dreams poster. Neon light look. People can say, oh, that's exposure, etc. It looks like a cartoon to me. This is where they're supposed to be all standing. Wouldn't they all be little dots of people all here observing this and all cars? Looks very weird, doesn't it? Very surreal indeed. And you've got the catamaran style iceberg. Now, this too, the arches, you know. The tunnel of love. There's a surfer there. What's that there? But again, as if it would all melt out like that in a perfect circle and leave this. And cave in for sure. And don't forget the iceberg connects to the Titanic. That is an important thing. Maybe the Titanic story just to set up the iceberg line. And they're going to float down and melt into the sea and bring the sea up. Yes, all these images are very strange. You know, look at this one here. Oh, you've got to be kidding, haven't you? Well, I'm not happy with any of these images. There's all the images with people in little boats all close to them. Any sort. And you know, you get this sort of look. It's the best. They love the arches, don't they? They're all arching up. 3 days ago, so that accompanied that story. And they tell us they look like this. So yeah, definitely a big mystery. Okay, if you reckon you live in this area, show us your home pics of your icebergs. I bet you don't. I've had all these people come to the channel and make really nasty remarks. But I looked at some of the channels and it was the same shilly looking channels with no information whatsoever, no videos, you know the type. So that says it all in itself. Here's another towing one. Oh, look, here's somebody. A blue iceberg. Well, this is a little bit more of a believable size, but I'm still not sure about this. Surf break. Certainly some very weird images when it comes to icebergs. Tasman Glacier. Look, there might be things like this around, you know, where the land is and it's water that's iced up in the winter. These massive icebergs parading around in the ocean, I think that's really a fraud. And another one with the arch. The Arch de Triomphe. Who's taking these photos? Gee, they're in crisp image from out of a plane. Very surreal looking. Very cartoon-like, that's for sure. Look at this one. Yeah, I think we've got a lot of fraud when it comes to ice in this world. They're infatuated with ice. The Frozen movie, you saw that with Disneyland, and then there has been a push to get us to look at all this stuff too, and but it is fascinating that we're discovering that ice mightn't be what they say. Maybe some Antarctica stuff. All fun. Club Penguin. I'll have to look at this and do another video on Antarctica. I haven't done anything on Antarctica for a while. And certainly Antarctica, we discovered fraud down there big time. And these two blokes, look, hey, we're all happy. Here's the iceberg. Two people on a boat rowing past an iceberg. That's the title. It's one of those National Geographic sort of looking ideas, isn't it? Yes, this again looks very fraudulent to me. Well, suddenly I found drone footage here of icebergs in Newfoundland. And I nearly thought, whoa, maybe this proves there are icebergs, but I'm calling this a fraud. It seems like typical things, if this was real, there'd be plenty of people with boats and filming going close to them. We don't see any footage like that, no. Only all this really slick stuff from a company that specialises in drone footage and does, no doubt contracts for the right people, for the right dollars, and somebody's put this together, I reckon. This looks hell like a model to me, the whole thing. I don't know how they've carried the whole thing away, because they've gone to a fair length of trouble. They've got people rowing out to it in a boat, but it's very fraudy looking the way all that carries on. But it's a changing iceberg, and here we have the sevens too, I might add. Look at the changing iceberg, right? Look, it's looking different already. It's already suddenly got this thing, and this is the one you see from now on, but as you see in that initial shot, it doesn't have that. And then there's a shot here that's also really fraudy. No, why not? Well, that's not it. Look how much bigger. That could just be a cliff, and the way the sunlight to make it look like that, who knows? But I want to show you the one where it's at night time. Here you go. You see, it already looks a little bit different now. And this whole little bay, they can mock this up, don't you worry. There's something funny about this coastline bit here. It looks really small or something. To me, just looking at that photo, it just doesn't look right. Anyway, I'll show you the next thing. It changes quite radically. You've got this, gets a lagoon on it. You see, it just doesn't look like the same block of ice. Look at it going this way, a long way here now. Not so much on the other way, Trying to give us the idea, that you can see that, that they're all the way down below. But I think on this sort of ocean up there with that amount of swell on it, it wouldn't be giving you so much of a view either. It's my personal opinion. Here it is, look, perfect little swim hole. It gets everyone in. And then there's this thing with the, it might be the boat there, see? Look, this I think is the, I don't know what that red thing is there then. This crazy drum track to it. It's the one with the, it looks different from every angle on this thing. Look at this, look how surreal that looks. I just can't see that anything could shape like that, the way they're saying, look at it. And it's supposed to be the same block, I'm sure, the whole thing. changes again. Something different again. Maybe that's another one, who knows. See, there it is back there. So it looks like the same bay though, see, with this hill and the thing, and here's the lagoon on it suddenly. Well, here's the evidence that normal people are. What's happened? I'm paddling. I saw that thing there. Hang on a second. Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift have a new song. Well, Taylor Swift, TS and Ed Sheeran. Of course, heavily featured tea drinkers all over the place. And I mean, look here, they got 20 million views in 2 days. I mean, nothing ever decent will have anything like this, will it now? Now, what's interesting here, this is a little overview that some fan has done of this business. And he's on about Taylor Swift and the 13, the letter 13 with Taylor Swift. Now, strange enough, there's a story, of course, you might have seen, that they're pumping out about the Turpins. Reminds me of old Dick Turpin. The highwayman. And there's 13 children. Here it is, 13.
In the song, and there you go. Coming up next, we have some information that you may have missed from Taylor's opening lines that go,
I wanna be an endgame. I wanna be.
I had some big things about 13. Must have been back here more.
13th section or row. So as you can tell, the number 13 shows up.
Here, she's all the 13s in Taylor's life.
Is my lucky number for a lot of reasons. I was born on the 13th. I turned 13 on Friday the 13th. My first album, Taylor Swift, went gold at 13 weeks. My first song had a 13-second intro. Every time I've won an award, I've been seated either the 13th seat, the 13th row, the 13th section, or row. So as you can tell, the number 13 shows up a lot in Taylor.
Number 13 shows up a lot. And here we have this story here involving the 13 children. The Turpin family. And here they are all dressed up the same. Don't get to see the faces in this picture here. But as you can see, I very much doubt that these are the parents of all these children. This is an added up ad hoc thing, of course. As you can see, the 13 is being belted out everywhere in the media. And this is one of the front running stories for that idea. Supposed to, deprive them of food, lock them up with chains and padlocks and refuse to allow them access to the toilet. Now they said this place in Ferris, because that reminds us of the old Ferris wheel and Ferris Bueller. Well, it's 70 miles from LA, and we know the 7. So you can see nothing's changed for 2018. These little cups. And look, this thing here doesn't look, it's on a t-shirt, does it? It's a little boot. Very strange indeed, this little bit. It's like they're letting Tinkerbell dance on their palms. Supposed to have abducted this lady too when she was 16, it says. And then the strange story about Huntsville. Now we've seen that hunt bit, haven't we? Remember down at Scott in Antarctica? And a few other stories at the same time. Hunt. And he repeats, but David, took her to the hotel room so she could be with another man, and a year later he went back there so he could be in the same bed. So very strange little stories they want you to believe here, and it's up to you whether you want to believe them or do you consider it's old fantasy castle here in the background. Yes, we've got the House of Horrors. Certainly there's a lot of tea drinking going on in this story. I think it's quite a top story, Nelly, other than the shutdown. Oh, not the shutdown. They have one of those every year with Obama. Now they've started up with Trump as well. Nothing new. It's a two-way type story. Apologies, but doubt. Very strange. End of 2019. End of 2019, we're going to have that embassy moved. We've got to keep up with Russia. They spend so much more money than Russia. So that's not correct. And social media sometimes harms democracy. The soccer star president, well, of course. So that's a really good background to be the president. Davos, empowering women. No, not the empowering. And look at this woman they're empowering. And another story from Afghanistan, as usual. As we can see, nothing's changing here for 2018. I've been a bit slow to get back into any idea of looking at any of this stuff. I'm so sick of the media. I think we'll just do a lot more science this year and a lot more just looking behind the scenes of how the spellcraft works. Here we're stranded Australians in Tokyo. And more this Julian Assange, the hoax that keeps on giving forever. Oh look, the authorities didn't like people being charged £1,000 for a meal. Well, it's Venice. There's a bit high top end scale there. I saw a story today that Charles and the Camilla are calling fake divorce. I mean, it's a fake marriage. How can you be divorced from a fake marriage? Well, they're fake as far as, if you believe that TST drinkers should be married anyway. But a lot of people will, of course. They love all that idea. Soon to marry a tree, one of your relatives, or your pet dog, or your pet oxalotl, your pet llama, whatever it takes your fancy. And if anyone says no, hey, that is discrimination. Smashing. No doubt this story will be like the end of the idea of a King Charles, no doubt. Probably why they're pulling something like this, I don't know. But the 12 is to the 21, 777, so take the whole thing with a grain of salt. And what this is about, Diana's sister or something. Oh, look at this one. Oh, hell. Let's go back there. That's worth looking at. Or not, but that just should show you what we're dealing with. Look at this. That is freaky indeed. Well, what do you know, eh? That is certainly a freak out. I don't know who that is, but that is freaky. It looks like Michael Palin. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, look, very Michael Palin there. And you got to love the do. red indeed. Very Ed Sheeran. Like that. Looks a bit like that. Looks a bit like Ed Sheeran too in its own way. Certainly, as we know, all that are similar petri dishes. They get like a little range of looks that they present to us. Definitely Michael Palin here. I can see Michael Palin. It's like that. I'm not saying it is Michael Palin, but it just shows you all the entertainment people all connected somewhere. Well, I think we're headed for quite a bit of old spellcraft in the next few days somehow. Seems like it's building up somewhere. But I just noticed this story in the Australian press, and we just had the guy, the 17-year-old, putting the egg over that Fraser guy's head, which I showed in the previous video I did on Jungle Surf TV channel. So, as usual, they've always got, it's like raining eggs at the moment. Now, we've seen how the deer, things about the deer, are very dear to our friends. On the media, they belt us with something about a deer all the time. Of course, at Christmas, it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now, you would remember there was a song, it was called Black Velvet, and the theme is the new religion. Stunned by the new religion, possibly. Here we are, stunned, another ST idea. And she was simply stunning. The emanating glow of a warm man in love. The Maggie dress. You've got to be kidding. And look, red velvet back in the 13th of March. Well, that figures in with our things in New Zealand, doesn't it? The red thing there. And now we've gone black. Quite interesting ideas coming out of Beatrice, I tell you. Now they're talking about the new bow. Eduardo Mappelli Mosey. And this links to the 1972 Olympics. Because I was scrolling down the news just to see the comedy of the day, because I can see it building up. There's certainly going to be some big comedy coming. And this article with Beatrice here was the velvet dress. I must have refreshed the page and they changed it for some reason. This is Mozzie. Now, of course, I thought that they might do Beatrice in with the idea of the European idea, and possibly this is a candidate for some new, royalty of Europe, as it were, because this is a strange family. Big, long connections, Gelp connections, and this is a Gelp anyway, as you know. And some interesting things about galleries, big with art.